Good morning, everyone. Brian here with BMK Retro Gaming. This morning I have a review for you guys of the ColecoVision Homebrew game, Ghostbusters. Now, the story behind this one is that Mr. Rob Alvey, who's behind Team Pixel Boy and does much of its production, if not all of it, and if I'm not mistaken, some of its development work too, and homebrew developer Eduardo Mello, had begun discussing sometime prior to 2012 doing a ColecoVision port of this one. You know, it was available back in the day for everything from the third generation Nintendo NES, so that's a fairly different port. Even the Atari VCS 2600. I've actually been able to emulate that one before, and I'm looking into getting a physical copy. It's pretty good. And, of course, for the MSX computers, which were mostly available, they started out, I think it was Japan and most of Asia, and got into Europe and most PAL countries, but didn't really get much of a release officially in the North American market. And as it goes, some would say, games that are ported over, from MSX to ColecoVision make sense because, same chipset. Not the MSX computers. They use the MSX chipset, which is actually it's a little bit more advanced and all. The ColecoVision's original chipset is actually a much earlier predecessor, but one which is so close to what would become the MSX chipset, such as in MSX computers, that it's not a very, very big leap to, demake or downport down to the ColecoVision from an MSX computer port. And, well, after this came back up between Mr. Mello and Mr. Alvey about 2012 and started to move forward a bit. And finally, you got a release of this port by 2017 from Team Pixel Boy. And, it turns out that it's actually a Super Game Module game. For if you have original hardware and a Opcode Super Game Module, you can play it. Or if, as in my case, you happen to have a ColecoVision Phoenix, you can. It has the Super Game Module capabilities built in already. So that way you could play it either via Super Game Module cartridge, or you could play it, as in my case, through an emulated game ROM. Since the FPGA chips used by the Phoenix pretty much, they say it's not as much really an emulator, which maybe it's not, but at the same time, emulated game ROM. It is a form of emulation in this case. You guys, anybody who's watched this channel for long enough would know me, and I would prefer to have a physical copy of the game. Though, unfortunately, being a 2017 release, well, the way Team Pixel Boy does a lot is, it's like a lot of other homebrew games. They'll be available for a couple months, a few months, may do another run or more later on of putting out the same game again. But usually you have a limited window to get a hold of a copy. The only physical copy I've found, as a matter of fact, lately, haven't been able to find any available new. Again, 2017. But I did find one secondhand on eBay, but one there wants $845 plus $11 shipping, and that's not counting tax. I don't have pockets that deep, and even for a ColecoVision homebrew game, that's way, way too much. I mean, yeah, they're a little bit more high-end, but not like that. Again, if I had deep enough pockets, maybe, but I'd say, for a lot of people, not looking to spend that much on just a homebrew game, at least not. I'm disabled on fixed income. And that's just way too outrageous unless, say, it was like a very rare original library game or something like that to me. So I do have the emulated game ROM to play with here, and that's how we're going to take a look into some gameplay. Unfortunately, I don't have the manual, so although it is familiar to me, being somewhat similar to the Atari VCS 2600 port, I don't know absolutely all of the controls, but I've gotten down enough that I think we can get a pretty good look at the majority of the basic gameplay, though in the end I have been getting stomped. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get us set for that, and we're going to take a look into some gameplay on this one. Okay, so here we go. I'm using both my Coleco Atom controller and go to Homebrew, go to Super Game Module, and an FC Twin SNES style controller, because those controllers are also supported and it's a bit easier for the driving part of the game. A little bit easier to steer and go where you want to. Okay, press 1 is what I found out is how you usually get come up. Excuse me. Get lost. Off of my screen, you stupid fly. Okay. We're going to go ahead and press 0 because we are starting a new game, no account yet. This next part is one that I don't recall exactly, but I don't think it's in the Atari VCS 2600 original library port, which is you choose your own car. You can take a look at the assets of each one, really, and, well, this is the second one, the hearse, which is most like the Ecto-1 from the film, and you can afford it, and it carries, you can see it carries 9 items of cargo and has a top speed of 90 miles per hour. This is your other choice, which is the station wagon, but 110 miles per hour and carries 11 items, but $6 grand. And the last one, the high performance sports type car, which is 15 grand, you can't even afford it, and only carries 7 items of cargo and a top speed 60 miles per hour. Whereas the first one, the compact, is only 2 grand and carries 5 items of cargo with a top speed 75. It would be kind of sufficient, but you're just as well off going for number 2, your basic Ecto-1. Okay, the first items you can take a look into are your image PKE energy detector, stands for paranormal kinetic energy, which it would have been PKE in the films, but whatever. You don't really need it, just it's more useful when you're near buildings. Don't need that much either. Image intensifier makes the ghost appear a bit more solid, which it's really a waste of money too. Same thing, marshmallow sensor would just give you a better idea where the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man is going to attack exactly, and you don't really need that. Ghost bait, which can help you to... In this one, the ghosts will try to form together to form Stay Puft, and if you can deploy ghost bait at the right point, you can stop that attack. If not, he'll stomp 4 grand out of the city and out of your total. Traps, I usually get 2. They can only take a single ghost at a time before you have to go back to the station to empty them, but they're still pretty useful. The ghost vacuum, as you're driving, allows you to vacuum up extra ghosts to keep down the PK energy in the city some. In some ports like the MSX port, it also allows you to make a little extra money, but this one not so much. The portable laser containment system, at 8 grand you can't even afford it. And basically it would be allow you to catch more than 1 ghost at a time, I think 3 or 4. We'll just go with regular traps, and that leaves me $3,010, $3,100 that I can get my business started with, and go ahead and press the pound button and get started. Okay, you just drive up, and I found it's usually useful to go ahead and be pointing the directional, whether you're using a D-pad like I am, or the mini joystick on your ColecoVision or Coleco Atom controllers towards the building you're trying to go to. Here, look at this. It looks very much like the original Ecto 1, very nice. And it gives you some stats downstairs. Activision, it's Team Pixel Boy, but I guess that's because it was developed over from the MS Exports. And hey, everybody loved Activision back in the day, and they're still a good company, so that's actually kind of a plus there. Then you drive along, and except for maybe the green flashing, it looks very good. Even on the Atari VCS 2600 original library port, the Ecto 1 looked very good. Okay, out here you drop the trap, call the other guy out, and there we go. They unleash the beams and catch one ghost. I forget how much money it's actually worth to catch one, but oh well. Another thing you can do is the roamers here, the yellow ones, they will stop when you pass by. Of course, that means as you drive by, you're going to drive by to vacuum them, and it might cause you to be late enough that you won't find a ghost where a building's flashing red, having one for you to go and catch, but oh well. The other thing that I found here, too, is that, that's going to be 3 of them. The store, Raise a Cult, from the second film is usually up there in the right-hand corner, but I haven't found it there anywhere else in this one, so I guess you don't have the ability, at least on this first round, to go and buy more equipment as needed. As you go by, press the button to catch roamers with your ghost back. Missed one because I wasn't paying enough attention. I'm trying to get my volume set up well here. One more. Here we go with another Slimer type ghost to get. Got him. You can't miss easy, and if you do, he'll slime one of your guys. You have 3, so you're okay until you're down to 1. This Zool right here is where that's going to happen. The key down there represents the Keymaster, Vince Glortho. And there's also a lock, which kind of represents the gate, the gatekeeper, you know, Dana Barrett's Zool. The GQH is, of course, your headquarters. Oh, and by the way, I have 2 traps already full, so I need to go ahead and go down here and empty them before I can do anything else. I guess I could buy another trap, but it saves a little money to just go with the 2, and it doesn't take that long to go down and empty them. Once the PKE energy gets to about, I think it's somewhere around 8,000, is where the Keymaster and Gatekeeper will come together and go to Zool, where they will summon Gozer. I don't know if the confrontation with Gozer is actually here in this one, but kind of like in the Atari VCS 2600 port, you're supposed to sneak your guys past Stay Puft Marshmallow Man guarding the place before you can get in. Anyway, by the point that happens, I forget, PKE energy would be 8,000 to 10,000, somewhere in there, and if you haven't made a profit of, I think it's 8 to 10 grand, somewhere in there, then you'll lose and not get to advance further. But the basic gameplay like this right here is still a pretty fun game to go around, get them, and trap some ghosts. That's pretty good, and again, it keeps you updated on most of your stats down there. Another Slimer ghost to get. Darn, missed him. And got slimed. One of the things I kind of like about this port, you know, is, I forget, but I think the colors were a bit better looking on the Atari VCS 2600 original library port, whereas the blue and green, it's different, but I wouldn't say in necessarily a bad way. It's interesting, and otherwise, the graphics and sounds here all look good, so I can't really complain, though it is a little bit different. And it does look a lot like what the MS Exports would have looked like, so I can get up there and stop a couple of them. Why not? I mean, seriously, not too long before I'm going to have another one to deal with, so. Of course, I plot a route where I'm going to be taking kind of a long way around to get them, but oh well. Might have a ghost to catch by the time I get there, because they will leave if you take too long to reach where they're supposed to be at. Take too long to reach a call, and you might not have anything to catch when you get there. Hey, yeah, 2 empty traps, 2 men left. Ooh, 512 PK energy, so... Ha! Got him! That's 3, and we've made 4,600 bucks so far. Well, there's one down here. Seems like an easy one. Ah, left already. That kind of stunk, but oh well. Darn, missed it again. Okay, down to 1 man. Need to go back to headquarters and get things charged back up and get my guys back ready to roll. Oh, another thing, there comes the Keymaster and the Gatekeeper, but don't touch either one of them because they will cost you money from your profits for running into either one. No, set up. You basically just press the button to make sure that you activate your ghost vac. It's pretty simple on that. On my FC Twin controller, that's my A button, and it'd be, I guess, the left fire button on your ColecoVision or Coleco Atom controller. Whichever one is button 2, like on the MSX ports that you use to deploy Ghost Bait to stop a Stay Puft Marshmallow Attack, I've not been able to figure out, because, that's what's been costing me not being able to finish anything on this game without losing. Getting $4 grand at a time stomped out of your profits until you're done. Yeah, that'll do it. I mean, seriously, I've been able to catch anywhere from 4 ghosts or better up on here, and could have pretty much made it, but when you can't figure out what you need to do for lack of a manual to stop that from happening, well, it still makes it fun, but kind of annoying that you can't figure out how to stop that and win a round of the game. Got him. Chapter in blue is how you know that he is caught, by the way. Okay, so where's my next call supposed to be? I'm not sure quite like the MSX ports, computer ports, this actually changes, but in the blue right now, it's supposed to imply that you're having a fairly low-level activity, paranormal activity, but it's supposed to turn yellow for it increasing and then red later for it to say that you have a higher level, but I think it just stays blue the entire time on this one. It, like, not having the shop is a couple things that I guess kind of got left out of this particular port, but that's okay, it's still good. Very nice game. Also, it's kind of appropriate for my Retrotober theme that we have going right now, since, hey, October, ghost busting, yeah. Seems like about what you'd be, it goes well with it. one of the other reasons why I decided to do this one. Ah, got it. Of course, I have to go empty the traps and get one man back. Yes, I know that I have 0 empty traps and 2 men left. Oh well, at least it keeps you reminded of it. Made up to $5,700 now, so that's okay. Darn. Misfired and tried to get him a bit early. It's not really too hard to get him, if you really figure out how to do it right, but sometimes you have to be quick on the draw and it can be a pain. You also have to learn to set the trap about the way you want it to be. Got him. Well, looks like that's likely going to be a few roamers to vacuum up going down that way. Zool, where they keep heading to, is basically the same as Dana Barrett's apartment, I guess you could say, or her apartment building. Hey, he does follow the film stuff pretty close. Missed him again, darn. Oh, right. I thought I still had one in action, you silly. Uh-oh, their activity's starting to increase, so getting close to a Marshmallow Man attack. Basically, how they do it in this one is they come together and form the stay up to stomp down a building or so, and it's pretty much basically what goes with that. Okay, how do I deploy the deadgum? Oh, dadgum, he did manage to do the 4 grand damage on me. That stinks. See, I just can't figure out the right button without an instruction manual for how I would stop it. I did try looking up the instructions online, but couldn't find any. For the original MS export, yeah, but for this, no. One of the things with homebrew games, you may or may not be able to find instructions for it. Uh-oh. Darn, he got me again on that one. Now we are down to exactly zilch. Wish I could figure out what that button is to stop that attack, but couldn't. I guess maybe, no, you're not supposed to have the marshmallow sensor to be able to stop him, so. Of course, that could be a difference on this one, but either way, I wouldn't know it because I have no instructions or anything to tell me what I'm doing wrong. Just kind of have to wing it, Gotcha. Darn, still couldn't stop him on that one. Nothing to catch. Well, there we go. The Keymaster and Gatekeeper arrived at Zool, ending the game. You didn't make enough money, so the bank has foreclosed. Better luck next time. Yeah. Anyway, lost, but at least you guys got a decent idea of the gameplay from that, so that's pretty much the basics. Okay, so that was Ghostbusters. Homebrew game for your ColecoVision, playable with either the Opcode Super Game Module or through your ColecoVision Phoenix, which has basically the same capabilities, whether you have the cartridge or an emulated game ROM, as I do. It's excellent work by the team over at Team Pixel Boy with Mr. Rob Alvey and Mr. Eduardo Mello. Really, this is great. I mean, it really does remind me, to a degree, of a much higher-end port than, say, the Atari VCS 2600 port, which was still fine. The only thing I might lament is if I had a physical copy, well, even without a physical copy, the Atari VCS 2600 port, the original library port on that one, I can at least look up the instructions. So it'd be nicer that way, but other than that, it is nice, and I got to show you guys a good deal of the gameplay on it. So great work by the team, Mr. Alvey and Mr. Mello and Team Pixel Boy. This was definitely a good release and one that should have been done anyway. Now, unfortunately, I don't really have any recommendations or links as I looked it up, and I couldn't find any of my preferred YouTubers who had bothered to do a video on this before. Be funny for me to be the first, but wouldn't be the very first time that's ever happened either, so. Big shout out to my friends in my Facebook group, ColecoVision World, run by my friend Aaron Spinks. And also to my other ColecoVision Facebook group, I believe it's either ColecoVision Atom Fanatics or Lunatics one. I don't remember, but I think you guys will know who I mean. Anyway, hope you guys will be having a very nice Sunday. And hope you enjoyed getting to take a look into the gameplay on this homebrew. I should have, ironically enough, maybe a ColecoVision original library review coming up on this coming Wednesday, so keep your eyes peeled for that. A lot of ColecoVision here lately. Oh well, nothing bad about that. See you guys again on Wednesday.